and I'll just do this free education so that we don't repeat it anywhere again. Before you take a step in declaring an economy a junked economy, you need to have specific ratings. And that is what we do in declaring economies junk. You said in 2016, NDC's economy was junk. Based on ratings, you met it at around B3. Today, your economy is at CAA1. If you don't understand those ratings, that is what we call a junked economy. So before you declare an economy junk, you should have gotten to where you are today. That's CAA1. That's a debt-distressed country. And that is why you are the IMF and restructuring your debts. So learn this and don't repeat it again. 2. What do you mean by that? You said in 2016, you met a junked economy. Wow. Let me ask you. Do you remember meeting the dollar at 4 cedi 20 pesos? Do you remember? Do you remember meeting a gallon of petrol at 13 Ghana cedis? Do you remember? Do you remember a debt to GDP? Roland was asking you at around 54%. Do you remember? Do you remember an economic growth rate in 2016 at 3.6%? Do you remember? You have forgotten because you met it juicy and thought it was going to last being juicy. But you forgot that the managers of the economy under your government were clueless and were incompetent. Today, do you remember now that the dollar is changing at 13 Ghana cedis? Does it come to mind? Does it strike your mind that a gallon of petrol is almost 100 Ghana cedis? Does it strike your mind? So if you do this comparison and you still sit on TV and say you met an economy at a junk status, then it means that talk is cheap. And because it's the only tax-free commodity, you just want to exhibit it on set. But you must go into details. You asked him fundamental questions. He was running around. Ask me same questions you asked him, and I'll chest out and boldly tell you and educate him. But he said what? He said cumulative what? He was quoting some things. You were confused. I was confused. Your cameramen were confused. He said cumulative deep what analysis. I mean, straight question. You made a debt at what? 120. He said it. You asked him what's the debt today. He said cumulative average. What is that? Please. The economy is distressed. The economy is junked. You have mismanaged it and you've led us into a ditch. You should bow your head down in shame and apologize to the Ghanaian people at every given opportunity. Yesterday, watching the CNN, they wrote Ghana spends over 198 million, a total of 243 million dollars. Then they said a debt-distressed country. Why must we always be in the news for bad reasons?
You mean in relation to?
In relation to the All African Games. Said we spent over 200.